Good afternoon and welcome to our first Facebook Live Lunch and Learn. Thank you for coming and joining us today. So this is new for us, of course, as it is for you. And because of COVID-19, we are practicing safe social distancing and doing other things to make sure that everyone that takes place or are part of this Lunch and Learn follow the CDC guidelines. We do have 4 Lunch and Learns scheduled for the month, so please go to our website, alzark.org, and you can get a list of those as well as the dates and time. We at Alzheimer's Arkansas, we are striving to make sure that we provide the same services that we provided to the caregivers before COVID-19. So we are still providing resources, education, and support. So today we have a very special guest, Tamara Gray of BrightStar. She's the branch manager, and we're here in Hot Springs, and she is going to provide a topic that probably is very important, especially at this time. She is going to be talking about having a sense of humor in this caregiving experience. So, without any further ado, we're going to have Tamara to come up.
Hey guys, Tamra here, coming to you from the BrightStar Care Office in sunny Hot Springs today, and it's good to see the sunshine. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I started out as a CNA in 2008, and I was a single mom, so I did a lot of overtime, supporting the kid. And I discovered that it was funner when I did the overtime, because I was usually tired towards the end of my shift, to go do it in the dementia lockdown unit. Because there was always somebody awake, and they were always moving. But that inspired me to learn as much as I could possibly learn about Alzheimer's. And then from there, I became an activity director. From there, I kind of branched out and became certified as a dementia practitioner. And for the last 6 years, in fact, I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary with BrightStar Care last month. Now, instead of in the facilities there, we're keeping people at home, and our mission here is to help them live their lives independently, even those with Alzheimer's and dementia, in a home setting for as long as they can possibly remain there. Like Miss Carolyn told you, today we're going to be talking about maintaining a sense of humor. I'm sure all of you know this. Caring for someone with Alzheimer's is hard. It's one of the toughest, most rewarding, heartbreaking things you will ever do in your life. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I go to classes and I go to seminars and I go to different things talking about Alzheimer's, educating and those types of things. And I leave feeling a little bit depressed because nobody's really talking about fun. There are 2 things that I know definitively that applies to every single person with Alzheimer's. The first thing I know is no 2 people with Alzheimer's are going to react the same, be the same, or respond the same to any one given thing. The second thing I know definitively for everyone with Alzheimer's is they are all capable of laughter and smiling. And if you can laugh with somebody, you can connect with them. I don't care what stage a doctor tells you someone with Alzheimer's is in, they're still in there. Someone told me very early in my career that if I wanted to be able to care for people with Alzheimer's, I needed to figure out what reality they were in and then go jump in it. Now, I'm going to tell you a little anecdote along that lines. This is something that happened to me in 2012 when I was an activity director at an assisted living where we had an assisted building and a memory care building. And my CNAs from the memory care building called down to the assisted building freaking out. They wanted me up there, and they wanted me up there right away because they didn't know what to do. I go up there, they meet me at the door, and I'm like, what happened? They're like, we got somebody on the floor and we don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, did you talk to the nurse? Yeah, we did. Well, as I got closer to the dining room, what I observed was resident A was most definitely laying on the floor. Then I had resident B standing over him, handing him something imaginary, but handing it most definitely very seriously, going here and handing him what he needed. Then you have resident C sitting in a chair with her legs crossed and that foot just a-going. Once I started talking to them, I discovered that resident A that was laying on the floor, he didn't fall. He laid down on his own. He was fixing the car. Resident B was handing him the tools out of the toolbox, and resident C that was sitting over there with their little foot just going and bouncing, she was waiting on them to fix that car so they could get out of there. I had 3 people literally joined in the same reality. And you know, I had caregivers in that building that didn't know what to do with this scenario. They weren't hurt, they weren't hurting anyone, and they were having a good time, but here's the best part. They forgot all about fixing that car as soon as dinner was served. But they spent all afternoon having fun and together and working on a joint project. In order to relate to them, you had to climb into their reality on what they were doing. Doesn't matter if you can see it, doesn't matter if you can touch it, doesn't even matter if you understand it. All that matters is that you can get into their reality and be there in that moment with them. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today, is that connection. We're going to talk about fun. Now, typically when I talk, I have an audience. I don't have that today, so I couldn't count on audience participation, so I drafted my mother. Come on up here. This is Jackie Higdon. She's going to be within 6 feet of me because she's my mom and she's around me all the time. So if I do have anything, she's got it by now. But she's going to be the one that helps me kind of demonstrate to you how you can have fun very inexpensively in a home setting with whomever you care for. And everything that you see us use today was purchased at Dollar Tree for under $15. That's the best part. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, the first thing I want to show you, these are just soft little balls. I like yellow and I like blue because something I learned real early was that the easiest colors for someone with failing eyesight to see is yellow and blue, especially when they're in contrast. If you can't find yellow or blue, try for a broken pattern. These are the things that people with Alzheimer's can see. Can you stand at that end? Mm-hmm. This is the best thing you can do. You see what she just did there? I didn't even have to ask her to send that back to me. She just did it. Whoop! Uh-oh, they went down. Do you hear her laughing? Automatic. And the more times you do it, the more times they hit the floor, the more they roll. And you know, they're soft, they're squishy, so if they do hit something, if it's not too hard, it probably won't really break it. And especially if you're just rolling them around on a table. And who doesn't know how to just roll a ball? And almost instinctively, anytime you roll something towards somebody, they're going to roll it back to you. Something else that I love is balloons. Balloons are one of the funnest things you can play with. I never really understood why as adults we stopped playing with balloons, because I know when I was a kid I went nuts over these things. This is a game I like to call balloon volleyball. Now this is a real simple objective. You want to hit it and not let it go down. So you try to keep it in the air as long as possible. See her smiling and laughing. Now, I know a lot of you out there in Facebook land and YouTube land are probably jealous because you're not having fun. Something else that I have learned is very handy is old magazines. These can be very educational. You can give them to somebody and say, hey, I bet I can find somebody in a blue dress before you can. And then you go to looking.
Blue on it.
Blue on it. Not a dress. That's a shirt.
She's getting real particular.
Uh-huh. But you know, you can go through old magazines and there's a million possibilities with these. Can you find a puppy? Can you find a cat? Can you find a dog? Can you find a woman with blonde hair? A man with a yellow shirt? A woman with a blue dress? This is one of my favorite magazines though, and this is Reminisce. If you want to connect with someone on memories, the old memories, Reminisce magazine is going to have it in there. A lot of times I would sit in my memory care units and just start reading stories, and sometimes they wouldn't respond, but usually they would jump in and start talking. I can remember the one Reminisce article I read that had the biggest response out of any of my residents was talking about that old number 10 tub that they always took a bath in on Sunday or on Saturday, because you went to town on Saturdays and then you had church on Sunday. So that was your bath day in that old number 10 tub. And they were so excited to talk about that. And that was an hour-long activity that I did with them. Now, other things you can do. I know this looks like a basket, but it's not. This is a goal. This is a fun goal. Now, typically, you'd want to lay this on the floor, but I'm not so sure y'all could see the floor if I put it down there. Could you?
Okay.
Here, our cameraman says we can. Now, what you want to do is you want to arm yourself and the person you're with a very inexpensive pool noodle, beach ball. Come stand up in the front. Now here's the goal. You want to not get in there, but I want to block you.
Oh.
You slid that one right through there. All right, all right. All right.
It's not very sturdy.
No, it's not very sturdy. That's exactly right. Do y'all hear the laughter that just that one action? But do you realize what we're doing while we're moving? Exercise. Precisely. Y'all didn't, maybe you didn't hear Miss Carolyn. She said exercising. That's exactly it. If you can make somebody laugh, if you can make them move, if you can get into their world with them, you're getting them going. And if a body is at motion, the mind is thinking. Whether you realize it or not, whether it makes sense to you or not, the mind is thinking and it's being stimulated. And that stimulation will help keep them sharp. Now, something else I want you to consider. Never underestimate the power of some very colorful pom-poms and 50s rock and roll. Of course, now my phone would take the time to buffer. There you go. This is also a really great way to get them to exercise with you, and you can even do it from a chair, because you can take them up with hands and down to the floor, out and side to side, and get kicks going in there with it. In this particular one, you're getting the stimulation from the sound. She is cutting it up over there. Right? Miss Carolyn's back there singing it. Everybody loves 50s rock and roll. I don't care how old you are. Everybody loves 50s rock and roll. You cannot sit still and listen to 50s rock and roll. It's impossible. Having fun is important. I want y'all to really look back here. This is one of my favorite things ever for somebody with Alzheimer's though. That's an essential oil diffuser. I like light, fresh scents, kind of crisp, clean scents. But if you need to help stimulate an appetite in someone with Alzheimer's, because sometimes getting calories is a challenge, pick an essential oil that's connected to food. Something sweet. Walmart sells essential oils and they sell them fairly inexpensively. Diffusers are not real expensive. If you have somebody that's suffering with some anxiety or maybe having some aggression, put some lavender in there. Calms them down instantly almost. You can go ahead and sit down if you want, Mom. Take a load off. The main thing is, while you're having fun with them though, you're also giving yourself some relief from caregiver burnout. Because taking care of people is hard work. Whether you do it professionally, whether you're doing it with a loved one, it's hard work. Burnout is a real thing. That's why it is essential to have fun with the people you care for with Alzheimer's. If you're having fun with them, you're also giving yourself permission to kind of cut loose and maybe not take life so seriously for a minute. Are we getting any questions coming in?
Not yet.
Okay. That is okay. Fun is incredibly important. I don't know anybody that if I walked up to him and said, hey, do you like to have fun? That would look at me and say, no, I don't. I know nobody that says that. That doesn't change just because you have an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Even people with Alzheimer's that may not be able to tell you their name, where they're at, even who they are or who you are, is capable of smiling. They're capable of laughing. They're capable of being in that moment with you and having fun. And that's where you will get the opportunity to actually connect with them. And that is all I've got.
No questions?
Is Carolyn?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I'm clapping for everybody. Okay. So that Tamra provided some great information for us today as we're living through COVID-19 at this point, because a lot of caregivers are at home right now, trying to search for things to do with their loved ones. If you're a caregiver and you get no break now, we always talk about how important a break is, but we're all socially isolating and we're staying home, so we need to have activities for both you and the caregivers to relieve some of the stress we're having now. And I really appreciate some of those great ideas that you've shared with us today. Again, we will be having 3 other Facebook Lives, Lunch and Learns, through the month. Next week, I'm going to talk about some of the signs and symptoms of the disease, because I know there's a lot of people at home now spending more time with their loved ones, and they may see some things that's questionable. And I want to provide you with some insight on how Alzheimer's and dementia looks, some of the signs and symptoms. Remember, we still have family assisted program grants. They're a $350 grant for people caring with someone with Alzheimer's or another dementia, So if you need that resource, you can call our office, go on our website, and we would help you through the process. So is there anything else we need to talk about, Matt?
We did have someone ask if this video will be available to view later. It'll always be available to go back and view here on our Facebook page, and within a couple hours it will be on our YouTube page as well. And you can always visit our website to link directly to either of those, alzark.org.
And if that's it, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.